Hey everybody, this is my jam. Yesterday, the Prince version of that song came on, and I was like, you know what? That song is for me right now, so I just had to listen to it this morning. This video is going to be about boundaries. This is a part of my journey that I am currently working on. So a lot of this stuff is still fresh. That's why I said if any of you are experiencing this, please feel free to share. Sorry, I got that bridge all on my face. I thought it was cute, so I kept it on there. But boundaries. So when I met my twin, I was resisting falling for him for a long time. Like, I was like, no, I'm not trying to fall in love right now. And no matter how awesome this guy seems, they all do. They all seem like a good choice. And then like a couple months later, they're gone. They're doing their own thing. Or they cheat on you. Like, I had this perception. So I hesitated for a long time. Well, actually not that long. That's another story. Everything happened so fast in this relationship. Like, I cannot even... it feels like we've been together forever. Like, I swear, there's been so many times I've been like, oh, I have to chill. I have to remember, we have not been together as long as it feels like. Because it really feels like he was always there. Like, he just wasn't physically there until I met him. So anyway, I was trying to carry this relationship as I did all the other relationships. Meaning, like, when it came to sex, there was not really, like, oh no, I'm not going to do this. Now, in the past, I've expressed that I feel like sex can ruin relationships. And because of the other types of relationships I've had in the past, that was true. Because for me, sex was like a safety blanket. Like, oh, if I can't get nothing else, let me try to get some. That way I get what I need, they get what they need. And, in the meanwhile, it's okay for me to just pretend everything is cool when it's not. Because I was shorting myself. So that's why I tell people, a lot of young ladies, or not even not so young, like some older girls, my age, will come up to me and tell me that they're virgins. And I don't know why. This has been happening forever. Like, people will just come up to me right before they lose their virginity, and I'm like, Lord, why do they keep finding me? Like, what am I, the virgin whisperer? Like, I'm not even a virgin, but I do have a testimony, and I give them, the message from the heart that God gives to me at the time. Sex intensifies things. Like, sex is beautiful, but sex was designed for you to share with somebody and for it to be special, not for it to just be given away. And I'm in a place now where I can speak about my past sex life and feel confident, because I'm not that person anymore. I'm growing. I'm still trying to figure out, where the void was or whatever, that was causing me to do things that ultimately hurt myself. But that's a part of my growth. And now I am getting to a place where God is granting me clarity. And I'm blessed. I'm thankful for that. So let's talk about these boundaries. So I wanted to give an example, a personal example of boundaries in my life that might help someone understand better what boundaries are. And hopefully it'll help you notice if you let down your boundaries. It'll inspire you to put them back up where they belong. So when I met my twin, we were having a conversation, and I kind of felt like things were going to start getting deep. Like, I was like, wow, I really like this guy, even though I'm not trying to. let me just let him know right out the gate, like, I'm about to move out of state in a couple months. Like, what you gonna do? So I asked him, I said, what are you gonna do when I move? And he said, I'm coming too. And I was thinking to myself, I figured that he'd say that a couple months before, like, I had caught myself trying to date somebody, and I told him I was moving, and he pretty much said the same thing, like, oh, I'm coming too. But the chemistry was not the same. But anyway, that's a whole different story. But yeah, he said, I'm coming too. And I was like, oh, okay, laughed it off. I just wanted to hear what he was going to say. And after that, he was like, but, and I was like, but what? And he was like, you have to make a promise to me before you move. And I was like, what is that? Like, what are you asking of me? And he said, I want you to change your last name. And it's just like the words just touched my soul because I couldn't stop crying. Like, I just started crying out of nowhere. Like, I didn't even have time to process the words that he said. It's just like they went directly to my soul. And I was crying. He's like, are you okay? I was like, I'm fine. Like, I'm happy. Like, yes, I would. And the crazy thing about me saying yes is I'm not necessarily one of those people that get really excited about people proposing and all that. There was a time before where I'd be dying to have somebody say they wanted to marry me. But I have grown through experience, and that is not on my list of things to be like super proud of. One, I was engaged before, and the engagement got called off. I called it off because I didn't feel it was the right decision at the time. So having someone else come to me and say that they wanted to marry me shouldn't have been that big of an issue, but for some reason, like, in my heart, I felt like it was sincere, and it made me cry from a happy place, though. Like, I had been rejected of. I was like, if anybody else tries to come and marry me, like, I'm not ready. But it was like I couldn't reject the offer. Like, I just felt like it was right. Like, I honestly felt at that time that if he had said, let's go to the courthouse, I would have went. Like, right then and there. Just getting to know each other. Now, that might not have been the smartest thing, but in my heart, I felt that he would be the one that I could spend the rest of my life with. Can't explain why. It's just so many things, but I just knew really early on that the connection between us was super deep. Anyway, this whole thing made me realize that he kind of enforced the boundaries that I needed to enforce for myself. I used to desire to get married first and then move in with a guy, but it was for different reasons originally. Originally it was because of religion. For religious purposes. I grew up in the time and era where they didn't believe in shacking up, so growing up, my mother always told me, don't let him milk the cow before you buy the milk. I don't know. I'm sure I just butchered that, but you know what I'm trying to say. Like, get the milk before you buy the cow or something. So it means like you don't really have the purpose or the need to put a ring on it because you're getting the goods first. There's no need for you to pursue this person permanently because temporarily you're getting everything. So the belief is that if you move in with somebody without getting married first, they'll probably never marry you. Now, statistically, I don't know how that stands. I feel like for me, that probably would be true, even though I hate that people say that. But that's just the rebel Aquarius in me. But whatever. So I said all this to say that I had been so used to guys asking me to live with them, to stay with them, to spend the rest of their lives with them. But pretty much none of them, except for one, ever actually made a proposal to make our relationship permanent or to make a commitment to me. So this was big, that when I offered him the milk without the cow, he said, but first, the cow. Like, do you get it? I don't know. I'm pretty sure I don't know. Somebody got me though. But yes, like, I was willing to not have any standards at all. And he's like, what are you doing? Okay, since you won't do it, I'm going to do it. Like, this first, then this. Because your twin knows, like, there's a soul connection. So your twin knows what your true heart's desires are, even when you don't tell them. So because him and I are like the same, or if he supposedly feels what I feel, then we both have the same desire. We're both connected at that level. So he desires the same thing as I do. He desires stability, which is another thing that I'm going to get into in a little bit too. We desire the same thing. So I would deny myself my desire just so that I could have someone. And I would shorten myself. I had no boundaries. Like, there pretty much was not much that I wouldn't do just so that I could have companionship. And that's not healthy. And that's what this separation stage is teaching me. It's teaching me how to not be codependent. It's teaching me how to stand on my own and be strong. And it hurts. I will tell people all the time, like, twin flame or whatever this is, if it's not twin flame, for those that don't believe in twin flame, like, this is not what I would choose for myself. Because even though I love this man with all my heart and I want to give him unconditional love, I experience so much pain on my own. Like, my own pain though, not his, not that anybody else is inflicting pain on me, or the absence of him is not inflicting pain. It's self-pain that you have to experience before you can be with someone else. And it hurts. It really hurts. And people are not really open with that experience. Like, people tell you all the time, you gotta love yourself. And it's true. Like, you do have to love yourself. But they're not as open with the parts of it that hurts. So it can, like, kind of encourage you and comfort you. And that's what I'm here to do. I'm here to let you know that you are not alone. And it's okay to hurt. It's okay to cry. It's okay to release. It's okay to isolate yourself if you have to, so that you can get yourself together, because it's not easy. It is not easy. Your twin will inspire you to be grounded and to be confident. They will bring out the best in you. They will remind you of your childhood that you had when you were strong before you gained all these insecurities. They will take you back to that place of nostalgia where you're just like, hey, you know, I'm queen of the world, or I'm king of the world. Like, this is my standards. This is what I'm doing, before all the heartbreak led you to start just not having standards anymore. That's my experience anyway. I had so many standards, and they pretty much all got let down when I went to college. Just being honest. Like, high school, a little bit, but it was more so because I was naive. In college, I willingly did a lot of the stuff that I did. And, you know, the people that were doing these things with me, they probably laughed and was like, oh, she's dumb. I was fully aware of what I was doing. Fully aware of what I was doing. Prime example. Everybody talks about the girls at college, you know, that hang out with a bunch of guys. They don't know the backstory, but they're like, oh, they fast, they do this, they do that, they hang out with all these guys. They must be sleeping with them, blah, blah, blah. let me tell you about my experience with that. So, this guy I really, really liked. I thought we were dating. He said that we weren't dating. I'm like, all right, cool. Like, whatever. So I was hurt. Like, I was really hurt. I can't really, it would be a whole nother video for me to tell you the void and why I felt the need to want to be with somebody. But that's, whatever, you get the picture. I was hurt. So one day my friend and I were sitting in the dorms and we were like, you know what? I'm just going to find a whole bunch of guys to hang around. That way, you know, we could just be cool with a bunch of guys. Literally, we said this. And that's what we did. We went out, sat in the little courtyard or whatever, and waited for a group of dudes to come out there at nighttime, and they did. And we just started talking to them. And they kind of like became our big brothers. And because I always somehow be looking for love, I fell for this guy who was in the group, and he kind of became my boyfriend. And I don't know, like, it was just I'm still trying to, like I said, I'm still growing. So I have to look back at the situation, have to deal with all the hurt and stuff that I caused on myself, and try to figure out what made me make a conscious decision to just go and hang out with a bunch of dudes. And I was not sleeping with all of them. For those who assume that you have to be sleeping with all the guys you hang around, like, no. I was involved with one guy, and as far as I was concerned, he was my boyfriend. So, yeah. That's pretty much all there is to it. With that experience, there was a lot of things that I had no boundaries. There were no boundaries. There was no reason. There was no logic reason for me to want to be hanging out with a whole bunch of guys. It's not a logical thing. It's spiritual. And that's a lesson within itself. I can tell you so much that I've learned from that experience, hanging out with that group of guys, that I wouldn't have experienced had I not decided with my friend that we were going to go hang out with a bunch of guys. Like, I have been through a lot, and someone might ask, well, you know, what qualifies you? Really, you don't need a qualification to help people. God qualifies us. We were born with a mission to help each other on this earth, and that's all the qualification that I need, for real. But honestly, I've been through a lot, and I can tell people some crazy stories or whatever, and hopefully help them figure out how to avoid making those same mistakes, or just inspire them to not repeat the pattern. But yeah, there's been a lot of times where I have let down boundaries that should have definitely been up, but because something was not all together, and because I had to go through life and experience stuff, my boundaries came down. So when I met my twin, I was not ready to meet my twin, really. I'm glad that I did meet my twin, because it's been a beautiful experience, and I know that he exists now. But honestly, I was not ready to meet him, and I feel like because I was not ready, I messed up some stuff. And now that I'm on my journey to fixing myself, I can only pray that I haven't messed it up so bad that we cannot be together again, which I don't believe is the case. Because I believe that God's plan is God's plan. And I have faith that if we do come back together, like, to get married, because we're not together, we still communicate and everything, but if we do come together and get married, I definitely believe that my marriage will work 100%. No doubt, because I've done my healing, he's done his healing, and that's just how it's going to work. So I hope this helped you a little bit on boundaries. If you have any questions, feel free to write it in the comment box. I can put my email address out there, but I'd kind of rather not. But I will if anybody wants to email me. Yeah, if you have any questions, feel free to ask. Peace.